All right. Let's dive into something that, maybe doesn't sound super glamorous at first, but it's actually way more important than a lot of folks might think. We're talking BagHouse cleaning. These systems that are kind of the unsung heroes, keeping all sorts of industrial processes humming along smoothly, and of course, huge for protecting the environment too.
Exactly. I mean, think about it. Baghouses are basically giant filters for like industrial exhaust, right? Capturing all that dust and particulate matter so it doesn't end up in the air we breathe.
Yeah, so visually, maybe not the most exciting thing, but their job is super important. For this deep dive, we're looking at some really great info from Torch Air.
Oh, yeah. They're the experts in this stuff.
And they really break down all these different methods for cleaning these BagHouse systems. And honestly, some of them sound pretty wild. Like pulse jet cleaning.
Ah, yeah.
It sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
It does have that kind of futuristic ring to it, doesn't it? But before we even get into like the specifics of how to clean these things, it's really important to understand why it's so crucial. I mean, neglecting BagHouse cleaning, it can lead to some pretty serious consequences.
Okay, so break it down for me. What kind of consequences are we talking about here?
Well, first off, think about efficiency. You've got a clogged filter, right? That means the whole system has to work way harder. It's going to guzzle more energy, and that's going to cost you, big time.
Yeah, that hits the wallet.
And it's not just about the bills either. A BagHouse that's poorly maintained, it can actually cause damage to other equipment. And that could lead to even more costly repairs or even force you to like shut down operations entirely. And then, of course, there's the environmental piece too.
Right, because these BagHouses are doing the heavy lifting when it comes to keeping the air clean, not just for the workers, but for the entire community around these facilities.
Absolutely. So BagHouse cleaning, it helps companies stay in line with all those environmental regulations, avoid those big fines. But even more important than that, it's about protecting everyone's health by minimizing exposure to all that dust and all those pollutants.
So it's not just about keeping the machines happy, it's keeping people safe and healthy too. So how do we even begin to tackle this cleaning process? What are our options?
Well, it's definitely not as easy as just like grabbing a feather duster and going to town on it. Although there is a manual method for very specific situations. But the Torch Air material highlights a few different techniques. Each one has its own sort of pros and cons. There's no like one size fits all approach here, right?
Right. So you got to know the details to figure out what's going to work best.
Yeah, exactly. So are you ready to dive into this pulse jet cleaning?
Oh, yeah. Lay it on me. I'm really curious about this one.
Okay, so picture this. You've got these giant filter bags, right? And then short bursts of compressed air. They're shot like right through the center of each bag.
Whoa.
Yeah. And it creates basically a shock wave that knocks all that accumulated dust, we call it the dust cake, off the outside of those bags. It's like giving them a good shake, but from the inside out.
That sounds pretty intense. So I'm guessing this is a pretty fast cleaning method.
Oh, it's definitely one of the faster options. And here's the big advantage. Pulse jet systems, they can actually keep running while they're being cleaned. So that means minimal downtime, which for some industries, that can be huge.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Yeah.
So if your operation can't afford to stop, even for cleaning, this would be a good fit.
Exactly.
So are there certain industries where you see this pulse jet cleaning more often?
Absolutely. Torch Air specifically talks about their Blizzard BagHouse filter models as being ideal for this type of cleaning.
Oh.
And those names, they definitely put to mind like really heavy-duty industrial settings.
Yeah, like industrial strength.
Like power plants, cement factories, those kinds of places where that constant operation is just absolutely essential.
That makes sense. So pulse jet is kind of the high energy, always on option. But I'm guessing there's going to be some downsides too, right?
Well, all that frequent blasting with the compressed air, it can be kind of tough on the filter bags themselves. More wear and tear over time.
Ah, so it's a trade-off, speed and efficiency.
Yeah.
Versus how long those filters are going to last.
Yeah.
I guess it's like anything else. There are always going to be pros and cons to weigh. So what about this shaker cleaning method? That one, the name just sounds so straightforward.
Yeah. It is pretty simple in theory. Think about like shaking out a rug to get the dirt off. Well, with BagHouse shaker cleaning, you're essentially vibrating the bags. You can do it manually or you can have like a motorized system. And it basically just shakes all that dust loose, falls nice and neatly down into a hopper underneath, and voila, clean bags.
So depending on like how big your operation is, you could have a simple manual setup or something more automated.
Yeah.
That's cool. So how does this shaker cleaning compare to pulse jet, speed-wise?
Well, it's definitely not as fast as pulse jet. but it does tend to be easier to maintain. And because it's less forceful, it's gentler on those filter bags, so they might last a bit longer.
So another trade-off, speed versus how long those filters last and how easy it is to maintain the system. I'm sensing a theme here. Does Torch Air mention any of their products that are a good fit for this shaker cleaning?
They do, yeah. They're Vortex Vibro models. And they come in a bunch of different configurations, which makes sense because shaker cleaning is pretty adaptable to different setups, so you can really kind of tailor it to fit what you need.
Okay, so we've covered Pulse Jet, which is all about speed and keeping things running nonstop.
Yeah.
And then we've got shaker cleaning, a bit gentler on those filters, but you might have to pause your operation. Are those the only options when it comes to clean these BagHouse systems?
Well, not quite. There are a couple more methods we need to talk about, and they're kind of like at opposite ends of the spectrum. Let's talk about manual cleaning first.
All right, so this is the one where somebody actually has to get in there and get their hands dirty, right?
You got it. Manual cleaning, it means physically removing the dust from the bags. Often you're doing it by hand. So as you can imagine, it's the most labor-intensive option. Not something you'd want to do on a large scale.
Yeah, no kidding. So when would you actually choose to do manual cleaning over these other methods that sound a lot more, automated?
Well, usually it's for those really hard to reach areas where the other methods just aren't practical, or maybe you've got a really small BagHouse system and, precision is key. Torch Air actually mentions their Vortex Compact model as being suitable for manual cleaning, which makes sense because it's a smaller unit.
So it's like the specialized tool for those very particular situations. Okay, so last but not least, we've got to talk about reverse air cleaning. The name makes it sound pretty gentle.
Yeah. It's a very gentle method. So instead of blasting air through the bags, this time you're gently sending air in the opposite direction of the normal airflow. So it kind of inflates the bags a little bit, and that causes the dust to fall off. Almost like when you gently puff up a balloon to get those little crumbs that are stuck inside to come loose.
Oh, that's a perfect analogy. So if I'm working with delicate filter materials, or maybe the dust is really abrasive, reverse air cleaning would be the way to go.
Exactly. It's much gentler on the filter bags, which can help extend their life. And here's a bonus. Kind of like with pulse jet cleaning, it allows for continuous operation. So again, less downtime.
Wow, that's a pretty nice combo. Gentle on the filters and you can keep things running. Are there any drawbacks to this method?
Well, it might not be quite as effective if you've got really heavy caked on dust buildup. Think of it more as consistent, gentle cleaning rather than a powerful blast to get everything out.
Got it. So it really comes down to choosing the right tool for the job, right? And that's why understanding all these different methods is so important.
Exactly. It's not just about cleaning. It's about optimizing your entire BagHouse system to be as efficient as possible.
To make sure it's running as efficiently as possible, we have to be prepared for when things go wrong. Even with the best cleaning routine, stuff happens, right? So let's do a little troubleshooting. What kind of problems should we be watching out for?
Okay, so one of the most common issues is decreased airflow. And there are a couple of things that can cause this. First, those filter bags, they could just be clogged up with dust. And that obviously restricts how much air can flow through.
Makes sense. It's like trying to breathe through a straw with something stuck in it.
Exactly. But the Torch Air material, it mentions another possible culprit, and that's a full hopper.
Now remind me, what exactly is a hopper?
Oh, right, yeah. The hopper, it's that container at the bottom of the BagHouse. It's where all that dust goes that gets cleaned off the bags. Think of it like your kitchen garbage can. If it gets too full, it overflows, makes a mess, and it can block things up.
Ah, okay. So decreased airflow, check the bags in the hopper. Simple enough. What about air leaks? Those sound a bit more tricky to track down.
They can be. But a good place to start, according to Torch Air, is with the seals around the BagHouse. Over time, those seals, they can wear out and then air can escape. And that makes your whole system less efficient. It's like trying to blow up a pool float that's got a puncture in it. It's just not going to work very well.
So got to keep an eye on those seals, regular inspections. Okay, so what if I'm seeing dust at the outlet of the BagHouse? Isn't the whole point of this thing to keep dust from getting out in the first place?
Exactly. So if you're seeing dust where it shouldn't be, that's a problem. And Torch Air suggests checking a couple of things. First, are any of the bags damaged? Rips, tears, anything like that. And second, are they installed properly?
Right. Because if they're not sitting correctly in their frames, that's basically an open door for dust to just escape. All right. What about weird noises or vibrations? Those always make me a little nervous when it comes to machinery.
I hear ya. Torture says those sounds can be a clue that something's not quite right inside the system. Could be something minor, like a loose damper, or maybe something more serious, like a fan that's worn out.
So, always better to be safe than, get those strange sounds checked out. I'm realizing that BagHouse maintenance is all about being proactive.
You got it. Regular maintenance, and addressing any issues as soon as they pop up, that's going to save you a ton of headaches down the road.
But this whole troubleshooting section has been super helpful. It's like having a little BagHouse repair manual right here in my pocket. So we've covered the why, the how, and the what-ifs of BagHouse cleaning. I feel like I could almost go out and pick a system for myself now.
Almost. Haha. But before you go shopping for a BagHouse, we got to talk about how to actually apply all this info to your specific needs. That's where the real decision-making comes in.
All right, so let's get down to brass tacks here. Let's say, hypothetically, I'm the one in charge of picking out a BagHouse system for my company. What are the make or break factors I got to think about to, make the right choice?
Yeah, it's kind of like putting together a puzzle, right? You got to find that perfect fit for your specific needs. And the first piece of that puzzle is, what kind of dust are you dealing with? Is it fine, powdery? Or is it more like coarse and abrasive? The properties of the dust itself, those are going to play a huge role in figuring out which cleaning method is going to be the most effective.
So it's kind of like choosing the right cleaning supplies at home, right? Mm-hmm. You wouldn't use a feather duster to try to clean up spilled gravel or something.
Exactly. So, you've got those delicate filter materials, you're working with fine dust, a gentle method like reverse air cleaning might be perfect. But if you're dealing with really heavy, caked on dust, you might need to bring in the big guns, something more powerful like that pulse jet cleaning we talked about.
Yeah. And then there's the whole question of, can my operation even afford to shut down for cleaning? Some industries, they can't hit the pause button.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Think about a power plant.
Yeah.
Or a cement factory. Those places, they need to be running 24/7, no question. So in those cases, pulse jet or reverse air cleaning, those would be the top contenders because they allow you to keep things running while you're doing the cleaning. It's almost like having a self-cleaning oven, right? It just takes care of itself while you're busy with other things.
I like that. A self-cleaning oven. That's a great analogy. It really makes it click.
Yeah.
So it sounds like picking the right BagHouse system, it all boils down to finding that sweet spot, that balance between how well it cleans, how long those filters are going to last, and then just the unique demands of whatever industry you're in.
You got it. And don't forget about all those troubleshooting tips we talked about earlier. Regular inspection, staying on top of maintenance, that's key to preventing those problems in the first place and keeping your whole system humming along for years to come.
This has been a really, really cool deep dive. I mean, we went from dust collecting in a bag to understanding all this intricate BagHouse technology, the impact it has on all these different industries, and that super important role it plays in protecting the environment.
It really is amazing when you think about it, how something that seems so simple on the surface can actually have such a big impact. It shows how important it is to understand the why behind the what. Why do we clean BagHouses? Why are there so many different ways to do it? And why does it all matter in the big picture?
So well said. And to all our listeners out there, we hope this deep dive has kind of sparked your curiosity about this world of BagHouse cleaning. Whether you work in an industry that uses these systems, or you're concerned about the environment, or you just, like to learn how things work, there's always something new to discover.
And who knows, maybe this episode has even inspired you to take a closer look at those air filters in your own house. Because regular cleaning and maintenance, those are important no matter what scale you're working with.
That's right. A huge thanks to everyone for joining us on this deep dive into the world of BagHouse cleaning. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep those filters clean.